And now, back to PTR Radio.
I made a little list of some of the things that you discussed. Bestiality, abortion, AIDS, Irishmen who drink, nuns, premature ejaculation, breastfeeding, and farts.
This is PTR Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to PTR Radio here on the fabulous interweb. That's right.
Fabulous.
All the turkey's gone. I'm still eating on the pies, but turkey's gone. And, I got one more slice of banana cream pie in the fridge.
I still got plenty of meats left. I smoked 3 turkeys, 2 pork butts, and 2 racks of spare ribs.
How many damn people did you have?
I have a big smoker, and it doesn't matter how much meat I put in it. It uses the same amount of pellets, so I froze a lot.
Didn't answer my question, but okay.
Well,
I understand your logic. The
pork products were for me. The first turkey was a test, and then we did 2 turkeys, and then I found out that McKenna also made a turkey, so we only took 1 turkey to Thanksgiving and left the other one here.
It was a test turkey.
Oh, I hadn't cooked a turkey in the smoker yet, so I needed to know how long it was going to cook and if I wanted to put it on the rotisserie or not. In the end, I did not put it on the rotisserie, but that is a future thing I'm going to try.
Well, we had a turkey, but we could have gotten away with like a Cornish game hen because we had that few people over for actual Thanksgiving dinner. So, it was basically me, my wife, and my daughter for Thanksgiving dinner, and that was it. So, we should have probably just ordered KFC.
I think it was. I'd actually answer the question because I forgot to answer the question. I think it was about 9 people.
Okay, all right. That's okay.
So
we had 4 people. We had a 24-pound turkey, which was completely stupid. But we also thought there were going to be more people, and there weren't.
Yeah. Well, see, we had Thanksgiving breakfast with quite a few people over. So, because that's just been our thing lately, where we have people over for breakfast. That way, they can go to their significant others' houses for dinner. So, it frees up, and it makes it so that you can hit both sides of the family's, houses on Thanksgiving Day. We do the same thing for Christmas. It just makes it a little bit easier because, well, we don't care. It means people aren't staying around at our house till all hours of the night, and we can actually go to bed at a reasonable hour.
Fair.
So we had a drunken Thanksgiving morning, because, well, we just start drinking early. So we went through 2 magnums of champagne, a whole bottle of triple sec, half a bottle of Cointreau, and a half a handle of vodka. And that was in addition to all of the ciders I was drinking.
I love how you measure the success of Thanksgiving based on how much alcohol was consumed. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was a good time was had by all. And then the following night was measured in wine. I think we went through 7 bottles. So, that's all. It's always a good time when you almost crack a quarter of a case.
See, we because it was only 4 of us, and because we had some difficulties, because such a large turkey decided, I'm going to trick your thermometer. So our turkey was not done when the thermometer said it was done.
Was your special ingredient trichinosis?
My special ingredient was carve the bitch up and put it back in the oven.
Yep.
But
turkey. That's
it
pork.
also.
Pork.
I mean, Kim also declared, I'm not doing Thanksgiving next year. I'll do Christmas. I don't want to do Thanksgiving. I don't like turkey. We'll do Christmas, and I'll make an eye round and a small ham.
Well,
I said, okay, it's fine.
Personally, I'd rather have ham than turkey any day. I think ham's a much more versatile leftover than turkey.
It depends. I mean, my turkey tastes like ham, so it's kind of...
That's literally impossible. Turkey cannot taste like ham.
If you brine it and smoke it and inject it with Cajun butter, basically I did everything I could to these turkeys to make them flavor bombs.
Why didn't you just get a ham if you're just going to make it taste kind of like ham?
Oh no, this was better than ham.
No, it's not better than ham.
Yeah. It was.
It's not. No. No, turkey is not going to taste like ham, and it sure in the hell ain't going to be better than ham. All right, that's not going to happen.
Oh, I promised myself I wouldn't do this.
That's like saying tofu tastes just like turkey. No, it doesn't.
Oh God,
it never does.
Turkey, no, but turkey. This is just another instance of turkey trying to take over the roles that it's not supposed to play. Turkey cannot be bacon.
No,
turkey cannot be a hamburger. Turkey can be turkey. Turkey cannot be kielbasi or
turkey
sausage.
Can barely be turkey.
So, no.
It could be croquettes.
Turkey does not literally taste like ham. No. But it was very salty and it was very tasty.
It was tasty because it was salty. You could have just licked the salt container and it would have been tasty. So, but I'm saying it's not the same as ham. Ham is better. In the cage fight between turkey and ham is going to come out on top.
Oh, I don't know about that. You sharpen the turkey's talons, it could feasibly.
I'm saying
beat the pig.
In the cooked meats, in the post cooked, ham is going to come out on top.
Turducken.
Well,
is that still a thing?
As much as kerpumple is, I guess. But, I don't see any anywhere.
Yeah,
I got to look while I'm waiting for the messenger thing to come up.
Oh, it's up. It should be up. If it's not up, then I have to send you a different address.
Yeah, if I'm at Six Flags or at Disney and someone gave me the option of I could have a piece of ham or a smoked turkey leg, I'm going for the turkey leg.
Oh, seriously? If I had known about this, man, listen, I would have done this next. As a 10-pound cornbread turducken, and it's boneless or partially deboned. So there's 10 to 15 people. Oh, wait a minute. Must thaw completely before cooking. See, this is where I run into problems.
Yeah.
Because apparently...
I just sent you a new link to try.
It just don't thaw. All right, let's see if that works.
Yeah. After that is put it in an ice water bath with a trickling amount of water going into it. Thaws real quick.
Yep. So. No? Huh.
I don't know if it's just me. It's still not coming up, but okay.
I'll have to...
What other kind of... Oh, well, this place actually... Wait a second now, because this place where I could get the turducken, what else they got here? I see alligator and turtle. Turducken, gumbo... Crawfish tail meat, so that's if you don't want to go messing around twisting tails. Pound of alligator meat. A whole skinned alligator per pound. Man, they got... But you can't make that taste like pork. Or ham. Boneless turtle meat. No. I don't think I could eat turtle meat. The hell's a tasso ham? Now I'm getting sucked into all these different kind of meats.
I don't know what a tasso ham is.
How's that spelled?
Tasso. What is? Okay, maybe I can read it. It's a spicy smoked ham for seasoning, for use in gumbo or stew. Okay. To me, it sounds like spam. It's telling you it's not. It's for seasoning. It's not to eat. That's okay. That's just stupid now. Anyway, what's a jumbo? Wait a minute. What's a jambalaya turducken? Hold on. They got different kinds of turducken? No, turducken should just be turkey, duck, hen. Seafood jambalaya turducken. I guess. Okay, hold on. I'm reading this out. I gotta send you all the link here because.
Well, yeah.
There's a lot of turduckens to talk about here. Cajun sausage turducken, jambalaya, cornbread. We already talked about Cajun cornbread. Pretty much the only bones are in the legs and the wings. One of these days, I want to try turducken. I truly do.
I'm sorry. I'm looking through the FAQ on the turducken site, and
Okay.
this one's. Do you have a turducken without pork? I said yes. The shrimp and crawfish turducken is the only one that does not contain pork. And I'm thinking, so the people who religiously can't have pork in their turducken also can't have shrimp and crawfish. So that's not doing them much good.
Yeah, we do have different palates because look. Okay, listen. I'm not saying ham is delicious, turkey is delicious, but all of these meats just need to stay in their lane. If you're a turkey, be a turkey.
That's right.
If you're a ham, be a ham. If you're an eye round, be a roast. Stay in your lane. That's all I'm asking. Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I don't care about lanes except for one thing, and that is bacon better be pork.
It can't be carrots. It can't be turkey. It can't be any of that stuff. No. You're correct.
If you try to serve me something under the heading of bacon, and it is not made of pork,
Canadian or
you
otherwise.
need to specify up front what it is. Now, I have had, was it wild boar bacon, which is cousin to a pig, right? But it has a distinctly different taste.
Yeah, it's gamey.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, I think universally, there's a lot of countries that are jealous of America for Thanksgiving. I was watching an Irish people try, and they're like, we wish we had Thanksgiving just because they were trying the pies of America that we like.
That was the worst looking cherry pie I've ever seen.
Yeah, they had a cherry pie that was purple, and that didn't, or almost black. It really did look like a blackberry or a blueberry pie. It did not look cherry-ish at all.
Yeah.
So,
looking at the comments down below, I think they took the phrase from the song "Sweet Cherry Pie" too literally, and they made the pie out of like sweet cherries, or the ones that aren't actually red, not sour cherries.
Okay.
Like it should be. Yeah, I don't know
Fair
what
enough.
they ate, but it was no cherry pie.
No. So, but they were very jealous of our pumpkin, of our apple, and especially for some reason of the pecan. I am not a huge pecan pie fan.
They just about went gaga over them.
Now, I don't know why they didn't include the chocolate silk pie. You know, one of the best of all the pies. You know,
pecan pie.
No,
Pecan pie is my favorite.
No, pecan pie is. Ugh.
I think we
don't
can all
like
assume
nut
that we
pies.
each have a different favorite pie.
No.
So we know what Mike's is. So yours is chocolate silk. Is that?
I don't know. Sometimes that's too rich, and so I do enjoy my banana cream pie. I like the cream pies. I don't like, you know, I'm not a huge fan of fruit pies unless there's ice cream on the side always.
So my favorite.
We're talking about for Thanksgiving or just in general here?
In general.
Just in general. We're just in general pies, right?
In general.
Okay.
I'm not a huge pumpkin fan. A lot of people like pumpkin. I'm not a pumpkin fan whatsoever.
I haven't had pumpkin pie this year yet. I should probably fix that because I do like pumpkin pie. My pie. Oh,
I don't know. You skipped out on me there. What was your favorite pie?
yeah, everything froze for me in the back. Strawberry rhubarb.
Okay, so trash pie. Gotcha. All right. Because nobody can like rhubarb pie. That's just ridiculous. Yes. Red celery. Yeah, sure. People like
Tried
that.
it. I've tried it. I'm not gonna go out of my way for it. I'm not gonna order it. But if it's in front of me, and you know the choice is that or I don't know, dirt, I'll probably eat it.
I think I would eat dirt.
Not exactly my favorite. Like, and everybody goes crazy over sweet potato pie. I'm not a fan of sweet potato pie either.
I hate sweet potatoes in general.
Not.
No.
I love sweet potatoes. I've never really. A lot of people claim sweet potato pie is better than pumpkin pie. I've never gone that far.
No, I think they're liars. They're just out and out liars, I think.
But
So.
I will say, when I was doing all the two pork butts and I also had sweet potatoes out in the smoker too. That's a wonderful thing.
So, so one of the reasons why Mike had problems launching the messenger toy today is because during the break, I made some internet changes around here. All right.
Oh boy.
And I was trying to get the wife back onto Xfinity for cable because right now, there's been some issues with the Fubo or the Fubu or whatever it is, freezing up and not working right and everything. And well, it's, by God, this is prime time Hallmark season and we can't have that happening. I mean, I don't know how many times I have heard the phrase, I'm just going to throw this remote if you don't get up here and fix this. So I thought, okay, I'll just change it back to Comcast. And then she's got, she goes, I just want to be able to punch in a damn number and go to the freaking channel. Okay. I understand the need. You want the simplistic interface. I got it. So, call up Comcast. I actually go online because who calls anymore? It takes forever. I say, okay, this is what I want. I know I'm going to pay more for this, but I don't care. I need it in her office, the kitchen, and our bedroom. That's all I want. I want 3 boxes. 3 boxes with the DVR, and while I'm at it, let's bump up the internet. And because 800 megabits, not enough. Need gig. So give me that too. Didn't actually end up being that much more than what I'm actually paying for independent things right now. So I was pretty happy about that. So they go, okay, we'll mail you the stuff, and then you can install it. Cool, I'm good with that. Less people in my house, all the better. So they mail me the stuff. The router, the modem they send me, fine. Finally get it working. But the converter boxes they send me, they're all flex boxes. Not a one of them can watch live television. They're all like their streaming boxes that they give away for free. None of them can watch DVR or press in a stupid channel number and go to the channel. They send me 3 of the wrong boxes. And I say, well, you sent me the wrong crap. And they go, oh, well, you got, and they say, oh, yeah, we did. We'll send you the right stuff, and then you can just ship those back. Okay. So I wait another 5 days, get another big box in the mail. They sent me the wrong crap again. So now I have 6 of the wrong converter boxes. So finally, I'm like, all right, screw it. I'm just going to go to the actual store because we happen to have a store here. And I make an appointment. I take my 6 boxes to the store, and I say, these won't do what I need them to do. I want to return these because they're charging me for all of them that they've sent me. And I want 3 that do what I want it to do. And the front guy at the front door goes, okay, sure, no problem. Yep, I understand. Have a seat, and we'll call you when it's your turn. Okay, fine. So I wait almost 45 minutes for somebody else to call my name. And then he looks at the return slip, and he goes, so you're picking up 6 boxes? No! No, I'm not. And then I go, I want 3. 3 boxes that are the correct ones this time. And he goes, well, they sent you the really nice 4K wireless ones. I really wanted to strangle him. And if the piece of plexiglass hadn't been in front of us, separating us, I very well might have. I'm like, listen, I don't care how nice the boxes are. They don't do what I need them to do. So it doesn't matter. If I have the world's nicest buggy, it's still not a car. All right? So I'm like, I need 3 boxes that'll work with the DVR. Okay, one of them needs to be a DVR that will work in my house where I can just punch in a friggin' channel button. I'm like,
that's important.
I'm like, this isn't for me. This is for my wife. So you're not making me angry. See, I'm not angry yet. You're making my wife angry because she can't watch Hallmark. And he goes, we should probably fix that. Yes. Yes, you should. So I walk out with a tote full of 3 boxes, 1 DVR box, and 2 other boxes. But guess what isn't included with these boxes? Cables.
Oh.
No cables. No HDMI cables. No coax cables.
Well, okay, you can't make coax cables?
I can. I can. All right? Joe Doofus next door can't. All right?
Well, Joe Doofus next door is going to have the technician come out for $100 an hour.
It just irritates me. As I told my wife, I should have just stolen all of the cables out of all 6 boxes and not given them back to him and just kept them all and said, screw it. They don't get any of these back. Now, I still wouldn't have had coax cables because they only came with HDMI cables because they were wireless boxes that were flex and didn't work. But still, I should have kept them. I should have kept the damn remotes. Screw Comcast. You know.
And the stupidest thing of all of it is they don't even... Your DVR is not a DVR. There is not a hard drive in that thing recording television. It's just acting as a streaming service. All of the boxes should be able to use DVR.
Yeah. So it's just like... It's just stupid. You know, I've had enough. And now I get home and I go to hook them up, and everywhere I hook it up, they don't work. I can't. I plug it in, and it doesn't work. And I don't know, honestly, if it's because I had AJ hook up, if he hooked up the wrong coax lines, or if the boxes are just broke. So now I have to like put a splitter next on the cable modem line, which I know works, but that means my internet is going to go down for a little while I diagnose that, and then I'm going to have to crawl in the crawl space with my broken ass legs and fix that crawl space issue if that's the problem. So, you know, screw Comcast. If their wireless boxes had just been able to type in a stupid channel number, this would have been fine. But damn it.
So I was trying to explain this to Kim, that we may have to, depending on what happens in the next couple of months, we may have to change from DirecTV. And I said, if that happens, we're going streaming. And she's like, you better not. And I said, well, listen, you're not going to be. She's like, what does that mean? Am I still going to be able to watch my channels? I said, yes. Am I going to be able? Am I going to be able to type in 304 to get to TV Land? No, you're going to have to go scroll down to the T's and go to TV Land.
I know.
That I don't want to do that. Okay,
I know.
Listen, maybe God. I can make them favorites.
Mm-hmm. You could rearrange the whole menu. That's not the same. I just want to be able to type it in.
Just say what you want.
But it's not the same. Not the same.
Okay, so that one we already came into the issue that we have too many Alexas in the house, and
they all answer.
she don't want them in the TV. I resorted. Mine is going by the male name now here in my office.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know, what's frustrating is when I told her that the first box was coming with the converter boxes, she says, well, why? I'm starting to figure out Fubo now. Oh, my God.
Of course.
I'm going to go get the gun and shoot myself in the head. I'm just going to do it right now.
Well,
all you do is complain about the goddamn thing. So.
Okay. So let's talk about more important things, because we don't want to get in trouble with the people we live with that could kill us in our sleep. It's a lot easier to kill you because you just got to hold that hose. I mean, me, I'd be smothered by a pillow.
Oh God! I got a sinus infection. I actually had a sinus infection here recently. Had to get yet another COVID test to make sure I didn't have COVID. But so I haven't been able to actually sleep with the machine because when you can't breathe anyway, trying to sleep with a CPAP machine on is a real pain in the butt because it's virtually impossible to cough while something is trying to cram air down your throat. All right? It just doesn't work very well. So
I found that turning the pressure up actually forces the air down your nose and unclogs you.
But you can't.
It's like getting a plunger on a sink.
But you can't cough. It's a pain in the butt. So
that's what cough mask is for.
So I haven't been using it, and she goes, your snoring is 100 times worse than what it was before you got the machine. She goes, I think I could hear it next door. So, yeah. But anyway, going back to more important things. Do we want to... Go ahead.
I was going to say, we had an unofficial sort of holiday that happened after Thanksgiving, and usually we discuss Black Friday.
Yeah. Which was interesting this year.
The reports around here said that the deals in stores were not as good as previous years, which we had to kind of expect, but there weren't as many crowds out, which I guess you also kind of expected.
Well, here
I didn't go out. I didn't go shopping.
Here, there weren't as many crowds because there weren't as many products. You know, the supply line shortage, which is a thing regardless of what causes it. We're not going to get into that. But like normally, my wife made the comment, she's like, there aren't semi-trucks and trailers lined up in Walmart's parking lot starting on Thanksgiving night, you know, just full of stuff that they're going to throw in the store during Thanksgiving Day, you know, and get ready for Friday. Because normally it's impossible to walk through the aisles in that store.
The Walmart by us is apparently pulling off a great illusion. to the point where we might as well rename it Lokiville, because there's in the parking lot for the last month, there's been two whole rows of parking spaces worth of shipping containers for all the seasonal Christmas stuff that's going to go out. We went to Best Buy just to walk around to look at the televisions, and lines. Now, this is where I got pissed off, though. They had at least 75 Insignia 55-inch 4K TVs. By far, more than any other TV that they had on the floor. Just lined up, ready for sale. But not on display for you to see how it looks.
Yeah.
Made me want to just push to see if all of those TVs could fall like dominoes. Because I was so mad. I don't know. I mean, I personally, I was looking online, and I didn't see the great deals that everybody... I did see great deals at Walmart, but only if you were a Walmart Plus subscriber.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I only picked up really one deal, and that was for something that I normally probably wouldn't have bought, but it's something that my wife asked about, and that it's one of those things where I don't know if we're going to use it more than once or twice, and I was kind of beside myself because I'm like, that's a lot of money that probably is not going to get used very often, and that is a
espresso machine.
No. It is a robot vacuum cleaner. Now, because we have dogs, and I tried to tell her, I'm like, okay, robot vacuum cleaners are great, but people with pets, you let the robot just go and do its thing, and you haven't pre-checked the floor, you're going to end up with a poo-poo Picasso on your floor the next morning. If you're not careful.
This is true. This is very true.
I'm like, so this has got to be something where you pre-check everywhere 100% first before it goes out and does its thing. I'm like, plus, with dogs, you get dog hair. Dog hair both clogs brushes, and it fills up a tank pretty darn quick. So most robot vacuum cleaners, they don't have a huge capacity, right? I mean, they go out, they can go for like maybe a half an hour, and then they're full. So I, of course, had to find the one which is the self-emptying style, so that it could do a whole pass of the floor at one time without us having to constantly monitor it. So we ended up with the Shark, I think it's like the AI XL, which is the self-emptying HEPA filter, LiDAR, and floor sensing robot. Because it was currently like $200 off, which was a pretty good deal. So that's the one thing that we ended up buying. Won't be here for a couple more days, but I am curious to see how it does on the floor. But I'm like, listen, we're going to have to treat this place like a restaurant. We're going to have to put the tables up on the chairs. We're going to have to, make sure that all the, that there's no puddles and everything else before this thing is set loose on the night shift.
It seems like there's a lot more. Seems like there's a lot more work involved with that. I mean,
you don't really have to do the chairs. You'll figure out the chairs. Dog poop on the floor, that's a bigger issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's less the piles on the floor as the puddles on the floor that we have to watch out for. But, which they're all elderly dogs. So it's not like we're animals and just have a litter box for a house, all right? The youngest dog is 13 years old. And the oldest dog is almost 16. So we're an invalid house, basically, is what I'm saying. With 4 dogs running around. So, it's just, it happens. And I'm not going to put a dog down just because they can't always control their bowels. They're footloose and fancy free. They have no problem peeing in the house. It's me who has the problem with it. I don't know what my problem is, So, but and for those of you that say, well, you should put them on diapers. Yeah, I've tried that before. Yeah, it doesn't work quite as well. All right, they're not as easy to change as a 1-year-old.
You know what? Listen, diapers work great to a point. Okay? Usually what that does is it kind of makes the dog, you can tell when the dog has done something, but it's not like Shaggy said, it's not like cleaning up after a kid. The other problem is if you have one of these dogs that has that repulsive, nasty freaking habit of wanting to eat poop, all you're doing is you're serving it up to them for them on a tray.
Well, yeah, and
all right,
and if you had one dog, that's fine. But the problem is, I got 4 dogs, and so another dog would love nothing more than to eat the diaper off of another dog, and then that's
you got
a whole
the diaper
other
itself
problem.
You got to worry about. Yeah, so then that's when you get blockages and vet bills and no, diapers.
I've had a dog eat a diaper, and it cost me $1,200.
Yes, when you see dogs wearing diapers, usually they are by themselves, they are well-trained, part of a well-trained pack, or that dog is a female and she's in heat and not spayed. That's when you see a lot of. We used to have to do that with. We had to do that with our Annabelle when we first brought her home because she wasn't spayed yet.
Yeah,
and she'd go in the heat and just be everybody. She looking at the other dogs like, "Hey, you ever seen this before?" And the other dogs are like, "Oh, where'd you come from?"
Yeah.
So, no, you see, that's what.
Yeah, I had one dog.
Robotic vacuum. We thought about it, but we might get a little more use out of it because we have cats.
Yeah,
and inevitably somebody is going to ride the damn thing. And I will put it on TikTok.
Yeah,
I will sign up for TikTok to do that if it happens spontaneously. But no, the other problem here is I don't trust Roombas. To me, they are the first line of attack. They are the scouts for
the robot
when
invasion.
Rise. Yes, they are the scouts. I don't trust them.
Yeah. Well. This is a shark, so it's not a Roomba, which is why it's not $1,000. So this is like
they're all getting the chips from the same factory now.
This is like
so it doesn't matter.
Roomba's cousin Corky. All right, but that's what shark is.
Corky could still count how many soldiers were guarding the gates.
But anyway, so, but I'm interested to see. I'm going to laugh at some of their claims. 60-day capacity? Ha! I guarantee it's not going to last 60 days. I'm going to check that thing.
Challenge accepted.
Yes, I'm going to check that thing in like 7, and it's going to be packed full. All right.
60 minutes.
Yeah. So, but. Yeah, it's only going to run at night after the dogs have been locked up and the perimeter's been checked. So it's going to be an interesting experiment, though, to see how it does. My wife's like, well, can it go upstairs? I'm like, well, it can't climb the stairs. No. She's like, duh, I know that, but can I take it upstairs? I'm like, you can, I guess, but, all the doors are always closed, so all it's going to clean is like this little 10-foot by 10-foot area on the landing, but whatever.
And it's also it's designed to always be doing the same thing. Yeah. And then it remembers the room so it knows in the future how to do it better.
Well, this one's very intelligent, though, and you can actually, this one is more intelligent, so it can support multi-floor and being away from the base and all that kind of crap. So
okay, you just have to tell it if you're on a different floor now. Okay.
Yeah.
When is it? When's it coming?
It's supposed to be here I think later this week. So
this week. So
I may try and film me trying to set it up because I think that's going. If I can't figure out a converter box, I think this is going to be an adventure. So
So
for my part,
December 3rd, 2021, Skynet becomes active.
And I already told him, I'm like, it was funny the way I told my wife. I'm like, She's like, I'm just so tired of sweeping. I'm like, don't worry, Vicky's going to do it soon. And she's like, who the hell is Vicky? And I'm like, oh, no, I bought her so that you don't have to worry about it anymore. She's like, huh? I'm like, Vicky the vacuum.
Child?
I'm like, I bought it for you. She's like, oh, okay.
So
Sure.
I bought a pillow.
Did you buy a My Pillow? Because he needs support right now.
No, I do Pillow Cube.
Okay. Sorry, that was really bad, but okay.
If you're a side sleeper, Pillow Cube is awesome. But they had it like 50% off for the. Cause they have a newer one that has like a cool cover on it, so that it feels cool, and I like cold, so I got one of those. Bought some stuff for my various cruises next year. And they were running a sale at Animation Legends, so I bought some more animation cells. Which, did I ever show up the animation cells?
I've seen them. Yes, I saw them at your old house.
No, not those.
Oh, okay. Maybe not.
I'm not sure. Oh, there they are. So what I bought was some Brave Little Toaster. But these I already have are Back to the Future. You remember the Back to the Future cartoon?
Yeah, briefly.
Nope.
So there's a Roman Biff there.
Okay, so they're
Biff. Okay.
Yeah, so they're actual cells from when they were animating the cartoon.
okay.
So I'm not going to go through all of these because that would take a while. But yeah, I got many. I also got a bunch of backgrounds. They're kind of cool. So, like this one's a TV. So then
So you put Biff on the TV.
So they put different cells there, take a picture, put another cell there, take a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool.
Just in case you're curious, major animated motion picture cells can start as from $20,000.
Yep.
So that's like a tangible crypto.
Mm-hmm.
You buy these in a pack for $25.
So Mike, what did you buy anything interesting?
So now keep in mind, we had the complaint that we have too much Alexa in the house. I bought a new Echo.
Okay, so you're contributing to the problem.
Well, this one was by request because in the living room area, I had the old like second gen Dot, which does not have great sound. And
I have this one that's just sitting on a shelf because I don't have anywhere to put it because I've got one everywhere.
I have one of those by the wife's computer. I have the third gen Echo in the back room, but she's like, I want something that I can play music that sounds better. So I said, okay. It was on sale like half price. So I said, okay, here we go. Mm-hmm. Replace the old Dot with that. Most of the other stuff is quite stupid. Laser pointers to mess with the cats.
Cats, yep.
Smart plugs, because the ones that I had to control all of my outdoor Christmas decorations are no longer, they're manufacturer discontinued. So I'm going and getting everything onto the Casa ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Another socket box, because they're awesome.
Oh, they're great.
A 4U rack bag and a mixer case, because I decided if I split up the load from my slant top hard case, it would be easier to transport all of my crap.
Mm-hmm. Get that?
A new phone for my office, and the big one was a new TV for the living room because I got tired of the black. So I'll try and. So like the black bars were on this side of the picture initially, and it was like just like shaded. And what happened was in the past month, it started getting to be like this part. And then there was one line of pixels right about here that were stuck green. I said, nope, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. This TV is on for 16 hours a day. So we got a new TV. That was my big... And it's not the insignia that I couldn't see. So, sorry, Best Buy, you lost.
Yeah. We didn't buy a ton because we're investing more in like things around the house. So, all right. So, Mama Blair says she got a pair of Aftershocks, which is good. I think, like Mike, you had those at one point, right?
I still do. They're here, and I enjoy them. I thought about getting the Bluetooth ones, but the problem is since I started going to my little ear hook mic, they don't fit well with that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And so, Teresa, I just want to acknowledge. I saw your message. I don't want to put that up on the screen, but I hope you're doing better and positive vibes your way.
Yep. So. We've been putting some money into the house because, we're at that age where we don't need more stuff. We're actually downsizing, as far as our crap's concerned, because we're cleaning out relatives' houses and everything else, and trying not to let our kids have to deal with that same thing from us. So we have got a number of projects that we're trying to do around the house. One is redo the electrical in our house. Not that it is old or anything. It's a fairly modern house. Everything's up to code and all. But I have an entire circuit box full of double breakers. I mean, every single breaker is a double breaker, so it is pretty much maxed out. And the problem is we still need more. We still need to separate some things out. We need some more circuits anyway, because right now we have a refrigerator and 2 freezers in the garage, which are all sharing a circuit. So really they should be independent circuits. I have a refrigerator running on a shared circuit down in my basement that should have its own. I've got a pizza oven I can't use downstairs because I'll trip the breaker if I use it. My office, every time I print, my UPS kicks on. So there's things like that which just need to be addressed. So I had an electrician come out who did some other work for us that I really like, and he's like, yep, sure, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. All right, I'll get you a quote, but even before I do that, I got some bad news for you. And I'm like, oh, he's going to tell me this is going to be like $50,000 or something stupid. And he's like, no, it's not going to be ridiculously expensive. The problem is it's going to be 6 months before I can get the parts. He goes, because you're going to be going from 200 amp service to 320 amp service, which is just silly. Most people go from like 100 amp service to 200 amp service. Well, I'm going to 320 amp service. He goes, and that pedestal won't come in until June. He says, and you're going to basically need to put in a secondary panel that's just as big as your primary panel, and that panel won't come in until around June either. He goes, and it's not like it's sitting on a boat waiting to come in to shore. That's all stuff made in the U.S. that is just slowed production down. Ridiculous. He goes,
320 amp where you're at, does that require a new drop as well?
I don't think so. He didn't seem to think so. Because everything's underground for us, so I sure hope not.
Oh.
Otherwise, they're tearing up my backyard again.
That's, yeah.
But anyway, so he's like, okay, well, we can get that. But then, so I'm like, okay, well, that's not going to happen until June. He's like, we can do a few things before then to help you out, but for the the big part of it, it's going to be June. She made my wife a little upset because she doesn't understand why things take so long. And then, but she was more upset when we had the window guy come in, because we've got a bay window, which has got like 2 crankouts on the side, and then in the middle, another 2 crankouts. And they've been here since the house has been built, about 30 years now. And the cranks are all stripped and everything else, and they suck, right? Because that's what crankout windows do, is they just blow. And so I had the guy come and give me a quote, and we're going to replace the center with just a solid piece of glass that's not going to go up, down, or anything else like that. It's just going to be, triple pane, argon filled, high efficiency. And then the sides are just going to be straight up and down windows, easy cheesy, all energy efficient kind of stuff. And he goes, okay, well, that's going to be like $1,800. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Because I was thinking it was going to be like $3,000. I'm like, oh yeah, sign me up. I'll give you a check today. And he goes, well, I got some bad news for you. I'm like, son of a...
Oh, God.
He goes, it's going to be 10 to 12 weeks. And I'm like, oh my God, really? And my wife's like, well, what's the point? Because I really wanted this done before winter. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I can't make the windows myself. So, this is what it is. So I still told the guy, I'm like, well, order it. Here's the money. Do what you need to do. And just let me know when it comes in. Because I really don't want the windows taken out in the middle of January. When it's freezing outside. I don't really want windows replaced during those months. But whatever.
So we had our bay window. When we bought the house, it had a bow window, which was the crankouts, which is similar to what you're describing. We had to we replaced it with the bay window. And they did it they came like December 1st to inspect, because we had other windows replaced first. And of course the guy comes, I want to come by and just make sure the contractors did a great job. He comes by and looks like, literally does like this. Yeah, the windows look great. So let me ask you a question. Son of a bitch. Here we go. So he sells us on, he starts talking to us about the bay window. Now, it's December 1st. This was 8, 9, 10 years ago. My wife says, if you can have it in by Christmas, we will sign today. Dude makes some phone calls. They installed that thing December 15th or 16th. It was 12 degrees outside. And I got this giant hole in my front room while they take this out and putting this back in. Trust me.
That's what I'm imagining.
Now.
So, but my problem is... Go ahead, yeah.
The one piece of advice, and not knowing what you're replacing, underneath your current window, is it just flat, or is there like something, does the wall comes down from that, or is it like, is there something underneath it, or is it just the window comes out? No, the wall follows the window. It's like an octagonish type shape, and the walls come down from there straight down. Okay, I have no advice for you then. Go ahead.
So I would love your advice though, Mike, because my parents have a window. There's
juts out, doesn't it?
Yes, there's actually juts out.
Okay. When they get a quote to replace it, get whoever's doing it to include encasing down under the bottom and insulating under the bottom. We do not have that. All we have on the bottom of ours is a 2-inch piece of insulation foam encased in aluminum, and the shelf, or whatever you want to call it, the ledge gets very cold. See, because of the lack of insulation. My parents had one put in, and what they did was they angled from like the most out corner of the window down to basically where the floor is. And then they wrapped that with siding, insulated all in there. So, I mean, it's basically a pocket on the outside of the house, but it's well insulated so that, they made that bulk area. That's what I'm talking about, yes. Yeah. Make sure they ask about the insulation on the bottom of the window. Mm-hmm. I wish we had. So, knowing that it's going to be a while, and so after he left, my wife and I are sitting on the couch looking at this window, and I'm like, I can see, of course I can see daylight out the window. It's a window, not a wall, right? Of course I can see that, but
more importantly, I can see daylight through the seam of the window, right? Where you shouldn't see it, where the window is supposed to crank closed. And I'm like, well, son of a bitch, that's not even closed. I'm like, no wonder the furnace is having problems getting the house warm. It's 58 degrees in the house. So I go out, so I tell her, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go outside and I'm just going to push as hard as I can against this window and you try and latch it closed. And so we end up getting it latched closed finally. It did not like it. And you could tell that it was bowed on the outside. I finally get them all closed and latched. And I'm like, I bet it's still not airtight though. And they're just going to rip these out anyway. I've got some silicone in the garage. I'm just going to silicone these bitches closed. And so that's what I did. There's this big half-inch bead of silicone all the way around all 4 of them windows. And it's into the groove. And I'm like, they're just going to rip it out anyway. What do I care? What do I care? And now, oh yeah, there's no breeze coming in. There's nothing. I should have done this earlier. So,
you should have, considering how much we know about this kind of thing.
I know. I should just replace it with a wall. I know that's the most effective retrofit. Replace window with wall.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's
from a window to a wall.
It's also very good at retrofitting the value of the house down.
Yeah. Colin and I used to work on the weatherization system for Illinois, which actually worked on, taking a house that wasn't very energy efficient and making it efficient. And we came up with the most efficient retrofit that you could do to a house, which is remove all the windows and doors and just wall it up. Just wall it up and add insulation. So we actually had a retrofit in our catalog called Replace Window with Wall.
Yeah. And that's because when you look at the calculations, the difference between the worst window you could possibly imagine and the best window you could possibly purchase is almost non-existent.
Yeah. It basically came down to like adding a piece of cardboard behind the window. That's how much R value it adds.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, we got all kinds of education on that job.
The worst window is like maybe half an R, and like the best window, I was going to randomly say 5.
Yeah.
And you compare that
but
to...
even then, after... I got to imagine, like, after, 4 or 5 years of opening back up, the seals and the brushes start to go, so
seals
that 5 drops down to a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the windows we hit... Because we were doing a savings to investment ratio, which included how long it was supposed to last. And we didn't assume that windows were going to last forever.
And we love to break out because there was a way that you could override the system, because the system automatically came up with, recommended what the most efficient things to do in the house were. And then we had to, because so many people didn't like what the system recommended, because it was very methodical about what it said you should do and what order it said you should do things in. We had to create a way that they could override it and say, no, I don't care, computer, what you think is efficient. I'm going to replace this window anyway, because replacing windows wasn't energy efficient at all. It wasn't cost efficient. But so we came up with the old granny scenario where we said, okay, when you've got a little old lady who just sits in her rocking chair next to a window all day looking out at the school across the street, and that's her entertainment, and you think that it's really worth the money to replace the window that she's looking out of because the one she has is old and broken and is leaking air, then you can override the system up to a certain dollar amount and do it. So we actually had to create the little old granny excuse.
What's the most efficient thing we could do to this home? Move.
we actually, I think at one point we even played around with the idea of putting a plastic bubble around the house. It's figuring out what that was going to be more efficient.
I'm telling you. Find a fumigator going out of business and just put that tent up and leave it up.
We had a lot of fun with that system sometimes because we just got so bored.
not to go too deep into it, but so the reason why that system is so complicated is you can't just take everything you can do to a house and say, how efficient is this? How much money is this going to save? Because everything affects each other. When you change the house, that changes everything else in the house.
Yeah.
So once you figure out what's the most effective thing, and you say, okay, I'm going to do that to the house, then you have to recalculate the entire house a second time, because what the next most effective thing is may change.
Yeah, and
be in the same order.
And part of the problem is Colin and I are both very logical, and we're both math folks. We're both math people. So we got a bunch of these physics calculations from this architect on how the system should work. Well, we simplified the equations. He gave us all these complex equations, and we simplified it down. You know, like we were in elementary school. And then we gave it to him back to check, and he's like, "This isn't what I handed you." We're like, "Yeah, we know. We made it easier." Because you had things that cancel each other out and everything else. So it didn't matter. We stripped it all away. So yeah, it was nuts. It was a fun time in my history, and I'll never forget it.
We took his 72 pages worth of calculations. We took all the calculations and put them together into one single super calc. And then we broke it back
13 pages long.
Yeah. And we broke it all back down to match how the users were actually going to enter the data. But here's the problem, though, Mike. Neither of us actually documented what the actual equation was. I think we only left what the equations that came from the architect were. Mm-hmm. So, is that system still up, Shaggy?
Oh yeah, it's still running.
And I do not know if there's anybody else other than, and Shaggy and I both have forgotten the inner workings of the system, so they can't come to us for help. But I'm not sure that anybody else knows either.
And that last check, it was too precise. It was more precise than what the Fed's own calculations were, so they told us that we had errors. That was the last thing I heard, like 6-7 years ago. So.
Yeah, we quite possibly built the best system of its kind ever made.
Yeah.
And if we were smart, we probably should have taken a copy and got ourselves a doctorate with it.
But anyway, all right. Speaking about things that are good, let's go over this list. So we love a good movie list. All right, and Lifehacker came out with a list of 20 movies so bad they're actually good. All right.
Which means we also like a bad movie list.
Yeah, I don't know that we've ever found a list that we agree with 100%. So,
and this is in no particular order, right?
I believe so. I don't think it's in a particular order. So, okay. 1968's movie Ski-Doo, starring Carol Channing.
Is that Ski-Doo or Skidoo?
I don't know. Skidoo, probably. It is 1968 after all. A trippy counterculture LSD movie.
I was going to say, it's a heist movie.
Jackie Gleason, Carol Channing, Mickey Rooney, and Groucho Marx.
Okay, well,
as a gangster named God.
If there's anything I like more than a caper movie, is it's a movie of Groucho Marx in it.
Somehow I have a feeling this is going to wind up on our list.
Yeah. Maybe one of these days.
Maybe. I don't know.
Next one, Battle Beyond the Stars.
Why do I feel like we reviewed this movie?
I don't know. It's from 1980, so it's in the genre. It's available.
No,
right now.
We didn't. You know what? We reviewed a different movie, Space Pirates or something.
Space Truckers.
They used a lot. Was it Space Truckers with the kid?
I think so.
And
yeah, it was Space Truckers.
Yeah. Okay, and it used a lot of the same clips.
Probably.
Yes.
For this, or vice versa.
Yeah, so this is Space opera is an uneasy combination of silly and serious with an impressive cast: Richard Thomas, Robert Vaughn, George Papard, John Saxon, giving their all to do a take on Star Wars.
Yeah, that's the one that has the ship that looks a bit like it's a cross between a Star Wars ship and a Star Trek ship.
Next on the list, I think we've probably all seen this one, Batman and Robin from 1997.
Yes,
this one included Bane and Poison Ivy.
And for those who are,
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to remember exactly which one this is the Batman with nipples movie.
It didn't have the good Bane in it. Let's put it that way. So.
No.
1996's movie Fear.
Oh, but it did have Batgirl.
Yes, that one did have Batgirl. But Fear did not have Batgirl.
No. Fear. Okay, so this was like one of Mark Wahlberg's first starring roles.
I think so.
And he was extremely creepy.
I didn't watch it, so...
Yeah, I have no...
It's basically like a stalker, violent stalker type movie.
Okay.
This is probably the most recent on the list. 2019's Cats. That was that long ago already?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we've had COVID in between.
So
True. So this was like a week in COVID time. I have not seen this movie, and I refuse to see this movie. It just creeped me out, quite frankly.
What, Cats or the next one?
Yeah, Cats.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
The next one,
Cats.
everybody has seen this.
I haven't
Everybody
seen
has
this.
seen Mommy Dearest.
I have.
Everybody
not seen
knows no wire hangers. If you've
Okay.
never seen this movie, you know that line.
I know that line. So, Mommy Dearest from 1981.
I didn't realize it was going to be on a list of worst movies. I mean,
Next
I'm not
one.
saying it's a
I
good
don't
movie.
understand why.
Next one. Spin-off. Supergirl from 1984.
It's been a lifetime since I've seen this movie.
Yeah, me too.
I think this was Helen Slater coming off of The Legend of Billie Jean.
Very well
And
could
it
be.
just did not quite work.
Now,
The next one,
now, do you not agree that it's a bad movie?
oh, it's a terrible movie.
It's a terrible movie, but it
it's
is
so
kind
terrible,
of
it is good.
It's a cult classic. Pootie Tang from 2001.
Yes, it is one of those required watching. Just forget who actually wrote it.
Next one. Gods of Egypt from 2016.
I don't know this.
From the same guy who brought you The Crow and Dark City, which were two great movies.
Yeah.
You can't win them all.
No. Nope.
Hey, even Spielberg made 1984.
1984.
That's not the right year. Movie. Anyway, was it 14?
1941.
41. That's it. 1941.
So,
Even Spielberg made 1941. And even I accidentally said 1984 instead of 1941.
so 1984.
But that's okay
the
because
next movie,
Year the Dune came out.
Dune.
The original Dune.
Yes.
And this kind of ties us to, have you guys watched the
I am waiting for the
epic,
sequel to come out so I can watch it. This one big movie.
You, Sir, Are a Genius? Because I sat down to watch it and was like, wait, part one? What? 2.5 hours, part one?
No, I haven't watched it. I
And-
didn't watch the original though.
And okay, and you know, spoiler alert: Zendaya is in it for her and Jason Momoa fight for the amount of screen time that they have. And spoiler alert: neither one of them has a whole lot of screen time. So if you're going to watch this movie thinking you're going to see a lot of their action, no, I think Zendaya says maybe 7 words in part 1.
Yeah, because
and stands there looking freaky with her eyes. But part 2 wasn't even greenlit until like 3 weeks after it came out.
Yes, like I said, that's basically when I heard that, I was like, oh, I was going to watch this, but now I know it's only half a movie and it may not even have its other half made. I'm not even I checked out at that point, and it was greenlit.
That being said, it was good. It was good. I was just pissed off at the pretense. Go ahead. So,
next one, 1987's Masters of the Universe.
Is that the worst movie? If you did not know anything about He-Man, would that movie be so bad?
How could you be an 80s kid and not know about He-Man? Was
That's
literally
Frank
everywhere. That's like saying you didn't know about G.I. Joe.
Langella is looking like Skeletor is just absolutely terrible. That is the stuff that you put him next to Mr. Blobby, and that's the stuff that nightmares are made of.
You know.
Yep.
No, absolutely. And the next one, I agree. This is so bad, it is awesome.
I don't know. I haven't watched it, and I have no desire to watch it. I don't know how it could possibly be good. Grease 2 from 1982.
Because it's good. Because you've got Michelle Pfeiffer. You've got Adrian Zemed. You've got... that's not Michael Ontkeen. Who's where is he from? But you got Connie Francis. Eugene is back. You got Frenchie's back, and who's Michael? The not Lorenzo Lamas. The oh God. The Rex Manning. Who was that?
I don't know.
That you better hope to God I don't find this on a streaming service somewhere.
No
this
idea.
Is going on the list.
Next
is going on the list.
Next
now.
up, Staying Alive from 1983.
And we're getting into a range in this list of movies that I didn't know existed.
Oh, I knew Staying Alive existed.
I knew the song existed.
No, I knew that it existed. It was the sequel to Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, I did not know that Saturday Night Fever had a sequel.
Yeah.
Oh, and the best part was that the
Was this before or after Rhinestone Cowboy? I can't remember.
I don't know, but this was before the title song "Far From Over" was performed by Frank Stallone.
Oh, it's not Rhinestone Cowboy. It was it Urban Cowboy? What was the one where he was?
Urban Cowboy was the one that he was in.
Rhinestone Cowboy was, yeah.
Grease
Urban
2 is
Cowboy was
available
1980, so it was
bars,
earlier.
and that's it.
Yeah. All right. Xanadu. 1980.
Yeah, this one I've never heard of.
Roller Disco Musical, starring Olivia Newton-John and Gene Kelly.
For the longest time, this is what, when you talked about Ishtar and how bad of a flop Ishtar was, Xanadu typically was mentioned in the conversation.
Okay, I am right now. I'm upset that they forgot one. I'm sure we can all come up with ones that they were upset that they forgot. But I'll.
You know what one of the funniest things
wait till
is
the end.
about Ishtar?
What?
Ishtar made money.
Well, yeah.
It's widely considered one of the biggest flops in the history of Hollywood, when in reality, it was in the black.
Huh.
Also, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I actually liked it the first time I saw it.
From 1959, Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yes. gloriously bad. But the movie made about the making of Plan 9 from Outer Space is an amazingly good movie.
And then we move into the real horror genre, 1990's Troll 2.
Yes, Troll, otherwise known as keeping Warwick Davis well supplied with money. No, that's Leprechaun, not Troll.
I know, Colin, to you, one little person looks just like another little person.
Wow, that is extremely offensive.
I know, Colin. I don't know why you say that, but you know.
Yep.
Anyway. All right, 2003, The Room. For
another movie that apparently was so bad they decided to make a movie about making it.
Yeah. All right, 19 Roadhouse from 1989.
Roadhouse.
It said it was so bad it was good.
Okay, in
Now,
fairness, Roadhouse.
Why didn't they pick Roadhouse 2 to be so bad?
Roadhouse 2 makes much more sense.
Roadhouse was a commercial success for Patrick Swayze.
These are movies that are bad, so bad that they're good. Roadhouse 2 is so bad that we don't even speak of it. There's a difference here, okay? This Roadhouse, if you decide to actually use your brain, we could rip this movie's plot apart.
Well, yeah.
And describe exactly how stupid it is. But nobody in their right mind in any town in America drives a monster truck down Main Street. Anaconda. This movie is so bad that it makes fun of itself many times.
Mm-hmm. This movie is the epitome of our double feature movie review. Really, horrible CGI, bad acting. This is.
Oh God, John! Listen, you've got John Voight speaking like he is Mr. Shathade's second cousin, twice removed. You've got Jennifer Lopez in one of her first acting roles, so she's still got that Selena vibe going on. And you've got Owen Wilson, who is a step away from... He's basically Hansel with a college degree. And then you got Ice Cube, who is an amazing documentary cameraman. Oh, and did I mention Eric Stoltz, who is the leader of the whole expedition? And a giant CGI snake.
Where to stream? Digital rental. That's dollar bin at Walmart. It should be where to stream.
Basically, yes. And guess what? They made a sequel to this one too.
Of course,
that we never speak of.
Next up, from 1995, answering the question, what happened to Jesse? Showgirls.
All right, now listen. I got a couple of issues here. First of all, back when Columbia House started offering DVDs, where you could get like 10 movies for $1, and then you get locked in to buying a $20 movie every month for the rest of your life. I signed up. I was only 16, 17, whatever. I lied. And yeah, this was one of the movies I got. Why? Because it was the closest thing to porn that I could get my hands on. And in many ways, wasn't this one of the first movies to get like an NC-17?
I think it might have been.
Right? Now, on the flip side of this, I believe that
yes, Showgirls was the first and to date only NC-17 rated film to be given wide release in mainstream theaters.
Okay. So I believe that they referenced this in the Saved by the Bell reboot, something about Jesse and Vegas, but don't quote me on that. And if they don't, damn it, they should.
Yes, they should. All right, so that was that. Now I want to put in here a honorable mention that they didn't include. How about Frogs?
I don't remember Frogs.
I don't remember Frogs.
So help me God, if you say the Cobbler, I'm going to throw this beer.
I'm not going to say the Cobbler. I was going to say Barbarella, Queen of the Galaxy. Do you remember Barbarella?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, perhaps.
I mean,
I think there.
it's a really cheesy Flash Gordon-esque movie.
Okay, and I was actually going to say Flash Gordon.
Yeah. I think that could be right in there with like Big Trouble in Little China.
Big Trouble in Little China, yeah.
I mean, that's a horrible movie, but it is funny, and it's a good movie.
Yes, I agree.
So, yep.
I 100% agree with that. At the same time, and then there are other movies like Starship Troopers that I thought was, half of the movie, like the relationship parts of the movie. If you just took the battle scenes and the whole plot about going to the bug planet, if you put that as a 1 hour episode of a series that's already on TV, it would have been great. The whole relationship stuff and the football and the high school kids, that to me could have done without. Doogie Howser somehow turning into a skeleton by the end of the movie because he's working that psychic power too much, could have done without that too.
So
while we're talking about Doogie Howser, another one, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. I freaking love that movie. I love all of those movies, but they're terrible.
Yeah. There have been 5 Starship Troopers in total, including the 2 animated films.
Okay, so let me think. Starship Troopers, the original. I forget what the subtitle of the second one was. I think there was like Heroes of the Republic.
Hero of the Federation was 2.
Hero of the Federation. I don't remember the animated ones, and then there was there was a third live action one that brought Rico out of prison, and they had like power suits.
That was Starship Troopers 3 Marauder.
The Marauder Project, where they had the power suits like they had in G.I. Joe, where they... Yes.
And then we had the animated films Starship Troopers Invasion and Starship Troopers Traitor of Mars. Then you had CGI spin-offs, Roughnecks, and that's it.
Yeah, Roughnecks was
fun fact.
Good.
Yeah.
The
captain
was closer to the original books. The power suits
that's what I heard.
were supposed to be there from the beginning. So that was one of the reasons people were unhappy with the original movie, because I didn't have the power suits.
The captain got cut in half. Was it Roger? Or not Reuben James? The captain that got cut in half by the door.
Yep.
She came back to play a completely different character in Heroes of the Federation. Which, by the way, Heroes of the Federation, literally what saved them was God. They all found religion while they were stranded on a desert bug planet.
Let me ask you this question. How many Smokey and the Bandit movies did they make?
3.
Colin?
Well, let's see.
Not counting the TV movie.
I'm counting the TV movie.
All right, then I'm going to say 4.
Okay, Colin, what do you think? Would you believe 7? 7 Smokey and the Bandit movies.
Well, we know about.
The reason I know this is
We know
because
about one. We know
I
about
went to
two.
Walmart. I was walking through Walmart, as you do, and I saw their DVD sign, that DVD display that says, "Hey, here's all the box sets that you can buy," and it said complete 7-movie set, Smokey and the Bandit, and my little alarm went off and said, "How? There's only 3 movies in Smokey and the Bandit. 1, 2, and The Bastard Child 3, which doesn't have the Bandit in it." And so then I'm like, okay, I need to research this. Because there, as it turns out, there were 4 made-for-TV movies that
those
featured that were the Bandit, which is
no.
Yes.
Those were bastardizations of the. He's driving. Okay, it's a younger version of Bandit.
Yeah, it's prequel.
He's prequels, but he's driving a Dodge Stealth instead of a Trans Am. I remember this. It was part of WPIX or NBC's Action Pack, right? Where it was them. It was, I think, maybe Team Knight Rider or Knight Rider 2000 or one of those bastardizations of Knight Rider. It was part of the Bastard universe, is what it was. Okay.
Did they advertise it that way? This Friday, tune in for the Bastard universe.
They should have. Maybe people would have watched it more. So no. I thought this was a weekly show that got canceled. I thought the original pilot was a movie. That's why I said 4.
No.
But the 3, no.
So yes,
ironically,
Bandit 1, 2, and 3 were movies. Now, what's interesting is Bandit 1 and 2 done by the same director. Okay?
Yep.
Bandit 3, different director. Bandit 4, 5, 6, and 7, Bandit Goes Country, Bandit, very creative there. Beauty and the Bandit, Bandit's Silver Angel. Those 4 made-for-TV movies were created and directed by the same person who did 1 and 2.
Weird. Now, there's also technically an 8th Smokey and the Bandit movie. And that is the original version of Smokey and the Bandit 3. Are you two aware of this? The original the original name of the third one is Smokey is the Bandit. Jackie Gleason played both Smokey and the Bandit. He played a different character as the Bandit, still played by Jackie Gleason. And there's still a still left showing Gleason in the Bandit costume. Apparently, it went over like a lead balloon when it was first shown to audiences. So originally, Jerry Reed was not in the movie. So Jerry Reed was brought in and reshot all the Bandit scenes in reshoots, and then they edited back into the original Smokey scenes shot by Jackie Gleason. That was Smokey and the Bandit 3.
That is absolutely insane.
I guess it went. Yeah, I guess it went absolutely, horribly.
So, even a little more trivia behind this, right? So the actor that played Bandit on the TV series, the 4 TV movies, went on to play in another 80s remake. He was Pike in the A-Team movie.
Oh, he was. Okay.
Yes. And the reason that Hal Needham, who was the director, and Burt Reynolds did not have anything to do with Smokey and the Bandit Part 3, because they were off shooting Stroker Ace. And the only reason that Burt Reynolds agreed to do Stroker Ace on a handshake deal with Hal Needham is because he turned down the role of Brewster Baker in Six Pack,
which is topic of discussion for this evening's double feature movie review.
Hey, Jackie, before we do that, can you show that picture to everybody?
Oh my God, no. That
So
nope.
So for those
no
curious,
now, no tomorrow. This is the thing. This is what will keep you up at night. It looks that looks like Ron. What's his name? Ron Swanson. A little bit.
yes, it does.
That's like Ron Swanson's dad.
So, very interesting. Oh, yeah. So, and speaking of movies, and like I said, the Walmart discount bin. Real quickly before we get to our double feature movie review, just an icon is kind of coming to an end, much in the way that $2 Chuck is no longer a thing at Trader Joe's. The Dollar Tree is getting hit with inflation. That's right. Most items in the Dollar Tree will now be on the $1.25 branch, according to Reuters, as an impact of spiraling freight costs and other pandemic-driven challenges. So my question is, are they going to update all their signs?
No. No, because they're still going to be the brand, the brand name. And honestly, I'm perfectly okay with this.
You're okay with the buck and a quarter
shocked.
store?
Yeah. I am shocked that they did not raise prices, and up to this point, to be completely honest. And the fact that they're doing so now, I can't blame them. They even said part of that will allow them to bring back some products that inflation pushed just outside their margin limits. Yeah, if they don't make a certain amount on every item sold, they don't sell it. That's their business model. Buy cheap, sell to hit a
Sell
goal.
cheaper.
So I'm okay with it at $1.25. Listen, you go to the back and in the freezer section, and you get the spicy chicken sandwich, even at $1.25. It's still a bargain.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get salmonella that cheap anywhere else.
It's amazing. You throw a little mayo on there, you throw a little lettuce on there, and guess what? You got a spicy McChicken for less than if you'd gone to McDonald's. A bigger one than if you got McDonald's.
How much did that mayo and lettuce cost you?
Nothing, because I went next door and borrowed it.
Okay. Okay.
In exchange for giving my neighbor a timer so he doesn't have to come out and plug in and unplug his Christmas lights in his pajamas every night. Here you go. Here's my old timer. I gave you an Amazon link to the TP Link timers that I have, but guess what? They're out of stock. So here's one that you can plug everything into. Mm-hmm. Merry Christmas.
Oh, all right. Now it's time for the double feature movie review, where we take on two movies from the world of streaming online. This week, we took on a classic, an absolute classic, which you've heard us reference already tonight, Six Pack, and a new movie, only out for a few weeks, Red Notice. So which one do we want to tackle first? Colin, which one do we want to tackle first?
Oh, let's take care of Six Pack.
All right, and you're up.
Okay. So I get the impression that Six Pack is a well-known movie, but apparently I missed it completely. That era of movies basically had to be showing in rotation on TV a lot, and I just don't remember this being in rotation. So, sorry, I just my usual ability to completely forget everybody's names in the world just kicked in. So, because I can't even remember the name of Kenny Rogers. Okay, so this is a Kenny Rogers movie where he's playing basically a NASCAR driver eventually. And he stops the little town because he's like a one-man team. And through a bunch of parts being stolen from his car and hijinks and that part of it felt like old Knight Rider episodes. He manages to escape from a sheriff along with 6 kids of various ages who are a family they're orphans and are off being used by the sheriff to steal things. But then he goes and meets an old girlfriend of his, and he keeps trying to get the kids not to steal stuff, and they become his new pit crew, and he starts doing well. And you have Raul Julia. Pretty sure it was Raul Julia. Anyway.
That's who?
Maybe I'm wrong.
Julia.
I thought he was Raul Julia, but now I'm looking at this going, his name doesn't show up. Oh, okay, it's a different guy named Terry Kaiser. He reminded me of Raul Julia. So there's this guy who looks like Raul Julia, who is his competing driver, who's the one who sabotaged him in the past. That's why he was a one-man team at the beginning. And then the sheriff comes, and he ends up in the big time in NASCAR with all the cigarettes, and everything's good. I get the impression that if I had grown up with this movie, it'd mean more to me. As it was, it's okay. Yeah, I'll give it a grin. Of its genre, it's pretty good.
All right. Okay.
I need to make sure the next movie already queued up, so I don't have to say her going, what's his name?
The muscular guy, the bald guy, that guy,
Yeah.
Bobcat Goldthwait, that guy. No.
What'd you get? What'd you give it, Colin?
Grin.
Okay.
All right. I'll go next. Six Pack. So, I remember seeing this movie as a kid. I've seen it off and on throughout the years. I did rewatch it so that I was up to date on it, so that it was fresh in my memory. So I honestly kind of forgot the beginning. Remembering when the kids start to become his pit crew is easy because that's the fun part. Remembering how he actually gets caught up with these kids and everything. I'm glad I rewatched it so that I remembered that part. You look at the cast in this movie and you think, wow, there are some pretty big names. Kenny Rogers, Diane Lane, Barry Corbin. Terry Kaiser is who you were thinking of, Colin, who is not Raul Julia. Terry Kaiser was Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's. He was also the Count from Mannequin 2 on the Move. So, kind of important roles for him that you can remember. So, that's where but Weekend at Bernie's, he's Bernie. So we do find out why Bernie dies is because he's spent all this energy chasing after underage girls in his trailer while he was racing cars. Anthony Michael Hall also in this. This is pre-Weird Science days. So again, this is one of his early movies. So these are all actors that later on, you get familiar with. Diane Lane had a huge career. Anthony Michael Hall, like I said, has been on and off on a lot of things. There's others. Tom Abernathy, I know he's been in things. Can't remember which ones, but yeah, there's been, and Barry Corbin's just been in, I don't know, everything, pretty much. In fact, it was really kind of funny him playing a corrupt sheriff in this one because I just kept thinking of him in the movie Beer for My Horses with Toby Keith, where he plays a corrupt farmer who's running a meth lab operation. So it's a very similar character. I don't think he did that on purpose, but very similar. So Yeah, so Kenny Rogers kind of takes in these 6 kids, begrudgingly, right? So he didn't want to originally, but he becomes a father figure against his own wishes almost. And along with, Aaron Gray, who's his love interest, which I find interesting during this movie because he gets hit on by like every honky-tonk waitress he runs into. I mean, one of the most unbelievable scenes in the whole movie is he's in this one bar, right? He had just gotten off the phone, unable to reach Lila, is walking out the bar. This honky-tonk waitress grabs him, basically says, hey, listen, my shift is going to be over soon, and let's have some fun, and is like checking his tonsils with her tongue. Lila walks in the bar, sees this, and rather than going up and punching him in the face, just gives this little smile and giggle, and it's all good and fun. I mean, lately I've been watching a lot of Hallmark movies, and that's not the way that this works. All right, she's supposed to storm out, take the wrong thing, not know what's going on. It's supposed to be 30 minutes worth of turmoil, and then, she's supposed to find out the truth, and Christmas is saved, and yada, yada, yada. But again, I've been watching way too much Hallmark. So, and for being made when this was made, which is in 82, there was a lot of premarital sex going on. I thought that it would have been much more conservative of a movie. But you see Kenny Rogers and Lila, or Brewster Baker and Lila, at least waking up from spending the night together twice in this movie, right? And they're not married. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing because Kenny Rogers was Kenny Rogers, right? I mean, he was downright American. He was red, white, and blue American. Nothing was wrong with Kenny Rogers. He wasn't like some of those other, sinful country acts who were talking about boozing it up all the time. I mean, he was, So this was an interesting, I think, movie for the time. There was a kid pseudo-cursing. I mean, he did say some curse words in it. So I was kind of surprised to see, in all, although it's a Fox film, Kenny Rogers take on this role. So it's a good movie. It's kind of a family movie, but like I said, there's some coarse language, some situations that maybe don't mix. I'd say 13 plus on this. But I'm going to give this one a smile for me. It's one of those nostalgia things. So, smile. All right, Mike.
Okay. So this movie came out in 1982, right? Anthony Michael Hall was 14 years old. This was his big screen debut. Diane Lane, 17 years old. Kenny Rogers, 184. And this was his only lead role in Hollywood, which I found very hard to believe. But, okay. So $10 of regular in the RV. That would get you about a gallon to get you to the next gas station today. So, love the classy diner that uses Lone Star beer bottles as flower vases on all the tables. And if I was a gambling man, a gambler who knows when to hold them, knows when to fold them. See what I did there, right?
You know when to walk away.
I would have counted, know when to run. I would have counted and done an over-under on how many times Lewis says, that ain't no lie. Fun fact, and I hit this one before, Burt Reynolds turned down the role of Brewster Baker in this movie. And a year later is when he made Stroker Ace. So maybe we can have a quick vote on which one is better, Stroker Ace or Six Pack. A little bit of racing trivia. No driver in any circuit anywhere would be allowed to go and qualify in dress slacks and a dress shirt. And here's the real star of the show. See, I took it the opposite. I thought this was how Bernie made his money before, right? He started a NASCAR, a Winston Cup team, And the winnings from that funded his corporate career and his house in the Hamptons. Yeah. I'm not giving this a shnikes. Right? Half of the six-pack, and Abernathy, as you said, he's been in some things, but he really became a writer behind the scenes. So he's more known for that than anything else. But half of the crew, six-pack, ironically, the half that were sitting in the stands and not actually on pit road, never did anything in Hollywood after this. So I'm not giving it a schneid. I'm going to give it a smile. I thought it was fun. There is some slight cursing, but I do think that this is, for the most part, a family-ish movie. And who was the other? The sheriff. The other roles that I know him from are in War Games, where he delivered the famous line, "I'd piss on a spark plug if I thought it would help. Let the kid in there." And playing the vet in a Netflix series, The Ranch.
Interesting. There was. I'm sorry, Mike. Did you have more?
No.
Okay. There was a television pilot produced based on the six-pack movie.
Yes.
You want to know who it starred? Don Johnson and Marky Post.
Which that must have been pre.
Yes, it was. It was pre.
So she must have gone from that to TJ Jumper. I think
Well,
that's what she was on.
You mean TJ Hooker?
Hooker. He jumps on cars.
TJ Jumper.
She wasn't in. Was she in TJ Hooker?
TJ Jumper was a guy I knew in high school.
So, by the way, Mike, did you say that Six Pack was the only leading role for Kenny Rogers?
Thought it was.
Did you forget about this little movie called The Gambler?
Was that theaters or was that made for TV? And that's kind of like when you base a movie off of the guy's song. That's a little.
I guess maybe
that's a little sus.
I guess maybe that was television because it does say 8 p.m. CBS 2, 3, 6, and 23. So, but
what about Best Little Whorehouse in Texas? Was that TV or movie?
That was Burt Reynolds.
That was Burt. I need to go to sleep.
It was Burt Reynolds and Dolly Parton.
I'm going to play my hop.
Okay, that is not the same as me mixing up.
No. I'm fully on board with the. I did not remember who anybody is.
That is not a Dean Cain moment. That's Kenny Rogers and Burt Reynolds are different.
It's also a movie I really haven't ever seen. So I just, for some reason, always remembered that. That is a long-standing I've always thought the Best Little Whorehouse was Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton.
God, have you seen Best Little Whorehouse? Do we have to add that to our list?
I have not seen
Islands in the Stream.
Yeah.
Islands in the Stream, that is what they are.
Kenny Rogers was in it. I do not know why.
It's okay.
God, we have to take
Burt Reynolds fried chicken was amazing, and I'm very upset that it closed. All
right. I know. It's terrible. I mean, he had the chicken suit and everything. So,
Fastest chicken in the South.
Oh, God.
Red Notice. Let's do this.
Red Notice. So,
Colin needs to go to bed.
No, because really, Best Little Whorehouse is not that I need to go to bed. I really have probably for 30 years believed that was a movie that had Kenny Rogers in it.
Have you never seen Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, Colin?
No.
Oh, God. Do we have to make that one another one? Let me see. Have you seen it, Mike? I mean, of course you have, right?
Yes. Far too many times.
Okay.
It's free on Tubby. It's got Dom DeLuise. All right. Colin, start off with Red Notice.
So, Red Notice, I'm going to just tell everybody, if you like caper movies, you should probably go, and you haven't seen this movie yet, you should probably go ahead and watch it. I'm not going to say this is a great movie. I'm just saying I'm going to kind of ignore my usual policy and spoil a lot, because that's the only way I can really explain this movie. So this movie is a mashup of many other movies. The first movie it's a mashup of is the, so what year was that? The Maverick movie from 1994. Okay? So in this movie, Dwayne Johnson is playing the James Garner part. Gal Gadot, unless it's Gal Gadot, I don't know. Wonder Woman.
Gadot.
Sorry, what?
Gadot.
Okay. Anyway, Wonder Woman is playing the Mel Gibson part, and Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool himself, is playing the Jodie Foster part. So, if you know that movie Maverick, you probably can understand where the plot of this movie goes. And then there's a hefty hit of Indiana Jones, which is so hefty they even make reference to it, which lets them get Nazis in the movie. Right. So Dwayne Johnson is playing a supposed FBI agent, because I already by saying that he's playing the James Garner part, you already know he's not. But he's paired up with Ryan Reynolds, who's basically playing like a yo-yo throughout the entire movie. I will say we pretty much had the plot figured out from the beginning. Although there's another character who plays another inspector who I left an opening to say, well, maybe it's her too, because they left some huge plot holes around that character. But in the end, they were just plot holes. So anyway, so they basically, Ryan Reynolds is the only person who knows where one of 3 eggs are that they want to give to a rich billionaire and get lots of money. So the whole idea is to get Ryan Reynolds to tell them where the egg is. And then, so Dwayne's plays someone who he pairs up with, like I said, throughout the entire movie, pretending to be an FBI agent who's been not blackmailed. Anyway. So, and then the actual egg is basically in the Indiana Jones Nazi place in the middle of nowhere, and then the inspector part, who at that part comes in and chases them. It's kind of like the Temple of Doom scenes where they're on the mining carts, except that they're in a very expensive. Is it the Mercedes? It's Mercedes.
I think so.
Yeah, they're being chased. So they're in the Mercedes. They're being chased by other cars. I don't know. Every single scene in this entire movie looked derivative to some other movie. There didn't seem to be a single intelligent, creative thought. It was just a complete, I'm going to take that scene from that movie and that scene from that movie, and then we're going to follow by that scene from that movie, and then we're going to say it's okay because we're actually going to make fun of it being Indiana Jones. And it's just like, they put a lot of money and a lot of production into this movie. I just wish there was anything creative in any part of it. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and give this one a grin as well. And by grin, I don't mean the
S grin.
This is not an SEG. This is just under smile. Maybe it's smirk. But anyway, both of these are just under smile.
Okay. I will go next. All right, so I'm not sure what movie Colin watched. I watched a totally different movie, evidently. So the movie I watched is the newest Super Friends intro or adventure for the DC comic franchise. So this one starred Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, and Black Adam. And it's where they're trying to find the monkey from the Wonder Twins. It's lost somewhere, and they need to retrieve it. So, they go everywhere in the invisible jet, and they have trouble finding it. So, they rely on Ryan Reynolds' snarky attitude, Gal Gadot being all sexy, and the smoldering intensity of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson that he has practiced from many a Jumanji movie. And, he has got, a lot of it. So if you want to watch these three actors being, in my opinion, the best example of themselves, all right, to date, this is a good movie for that. All right, I think that they all play off of each other great. I think that there are a lot of inside jokes in the show. For example, just keep your eye on the liquor bottles. There are, I guess, there are a ton of cutting room floor edits that we don't get to see, because from what I heard from interviews, there's like a stack of paper worth of extra jokes that Ryan wrote for both Gal Gadot and Dwayne, and that they didn't use, but supposedly it was difficult to keep the crew from cracking up so that they could get a solid take on it. And you can tell by the movie that that's the kind of fun that they had on set. It's odd that the song Downtown can take on such unique meaning in a film. And, this one really makes you feel things in places you didn't know that you had feelings. Or you knew you had feelings, but you didn't know that you could feel things that deeply. So, and Colin gave a lot of spoilers away, but I'm going to say, one that isn't necessarily, too risky. They set this up for a potential sequel, and I am much looking forward to it. I want this to be a Red Notice franchise. All right, I'm okay with that. So, brush off the animated supersuit and let's do this thing and see, what other things they can go around the world and find, because it's been a long time since we've had a good group like this work together. And Netflix keep making some money and keeping these movies coming, because I really enjoy these. So, I'm good with that, and I'm actually going to rank this a Schneggers, because that's what it gets from me. I like this, evidently, more than Colin. All right, Mike, you're up.
Wow. Schnikes, huh? Okay, so Shaggy, first off, well, before I say this, in regards to the jokes that didn't make the cut, go on YouTube and find the blooper reel, because it proves your point, and it's freaking hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me while I switch out my earpieces here, because I got a battery low on the one. Shaggy, did you see how The Rock fell off that ladder?
I don't remember.
Tuck and roll.
Yes.
Tuck and roll, right? Yeah. He didn't get hurt, so I just figured I would throw that out there because I can.
Yeah.
Did they really have to wreck that Ferrari? And I love the name of the boat. We're going to make it, Rose. I'm going to save that one for when I get. No, I'm never getting a boat. Question I have while they're rating Ryan's spot: is The Rock drinking Terramana or Aviation? Now, there is no way in hell that Gal Gadot would be standing that close to me around the corner or not, and I wouldn't know, because I would smell her sweet sweat from a mile away. Rock is drinking Terramana. I had to rewind to make sure. Well played. Great quote. You can have excuses or results, but not both. I'm going to save that line for work when somebody really pisses me off. During the whole airplane scene, I realized that Rock and Reynolds are an awesome pairing. Better than Hobbs and Shaw, so F. Jason Statham, you're out. In fact, now I need to see Deadpool meets Black Adam. And Gal Gadot in handcuffs. Hang on, I might need a minute. And now she's fighting barefoot in the room with all the broken glass. No, listen, somebody protect her beautiful feet, damn it. This ain't like stepping on no Lego. There's be damage here. These two guys arguing. She's got a vest on. Okay, look, this is the heist movie that I needed to see. Not that vault bullshit that we watched last show. All right? I'm not quite going to give this a Schneikes, though. I'm going to give it an OMG WTF BBQ pending whether the sequel comes out, because I do think these three are a great team. Seriously, watch the blooper reel.
Yep.
Apparently, I need to watch the blooper reel. If there is a sequel, I would be happy to have a sequel. I think acting-wise, everybody was doing well.
I'll agree with you. I mean, story-wise, yes. Did they take a lot of stuff from other movies? Yeah. When you mentioned it, yeah. But going in, I didn't catch that.
I guess the problem for me was, at no time was I ever surprised by anything that happened in the movie. Because I recognized way too many of the scenes that were done pretty much exactly as the original movie that came from did it. And I knew the underlying what was happening behind the scenes to the story at all times. Because it was just too derivative. There's no way for me not to see, John Hartley and the Bishop are actually, partners.
Yeah. So, all right. So that was our movies for this time. So, do we want to pick two movies, or do we want to include Best Little Whorehouse in Texas as one movie? What do we want to do?
Okay. So,
I need to know when the next episode is, because I am in Disney 2 weeks from now.
Okay. Well,
okay.
Let's pick the movies, and then we'll talk about the date offline.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you guys want to go ahead and have an episode in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So we'll just pick two movies for the next show. That'll make it easier. All right. So number 32.
Okay, well, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on, because I do have two questions.
Okay.
Since the next show will be right before Christmas, are we going to trump and do
Christmas movies?
We have because we have two. We have two that are recommended. Okay. We have Christmas Story on YouTube. Wait a minute. Why am I even? This is the story behind Santa's origin. Why didn't we watch this?
No, we can't do that one because I think it's got. I think it's subtitled.
Yes, it's subtitled.
Yep.
Okay.
Can't do that one.
8-Bit Christmas?
Oh, God, if that's available, we need to do that one. If that's available.
Where did I see it today? I think... Let me see. I believe it's on HBO Max. Yes, it's on HBO Max.
Okay. I believe I have that.
All right, so we
can.
all right, so we'll throw that in.
You have.
Yep. So, yep. 8-bit.
All right, so we'll
Christmas.
throw that in there. If we have to repick something, we will repick something.
Yeah.
I think those are the only two Christmas movies that I'm seeing on the list that I can remember. So that are standing out. So I need you to pick 1 to 48, please.
All right. Hold on one second. I'm just checking real quick to make sure that I don't have anything in the list that is a Christmas that might not just be called Christmas or something.
There was something else that we had at some point that we looked at.
That one's not going to be available till December 21st. Already did that one. Yeah, I think we may have to do that one. All right. That's weird. All right. 1 to what?
48.
Okay, 48. $15.
Why do I feel like we did this already? The Ice Road on Netflix?
That sounds great.
I don't know. We didn't do it.
With
I think we talked about it.
We didn't do it? With Liam Neeson?
No. I think we watched the trailer, but that's it.
I've seen the movie, though.
Have you? I haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I watched it, but for some reason I thought we... Yeah, the Ice Road. Okay, maybe we didn't... Okay.
No, I didn't think we did.
Where did you go? All right, The Ice Road on Netflix.
Okay. Yep. All right, we'll do that. At least it's cold related. It's winter, kind of.
Yeah.
All righty. Let's see here. That's back. There we go. All right.
All right, so next show is TBD.
Yep. So make sure that you pay attention.
You know, Colin's back to being a world traveler again. So.
Yep. So yeah, take a look at our social media pages: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, all the other fun stuff. At PTR Radio is where you can find us on all that stuff. And keep an eye out for when our next episode is going to drop. And also pay attention to the podcast feed. You can check that out, ptrradio.com. Give you all the information on how to subscribe to that. And also now you can listen in on your favorite ALEXA device. Just say, hey, to play PTR Radio, probably totally random, and it will play you the most recent episode that she has available to her. Or you can go to Spotify, or you can go to Spotify and say, hey, show me PTR Radio in the podcast section, and you can subscribe to us that way. Lots of new listeners coming on board, and we appreciate every one of you. The only way that we grow is by you telling other people about us. And we don't care if you lie. And your mom said it was okay. Little white lies are allowed every once in a while. So tell them that we're the best thing ever. And that, Joe Rogan endorsed us. That's fine. He won't know. Really, he won't. He doesn't pay attention to us at all. So, folks, with that said, we'll be back sometime in the next couple weeks. We don't know exactly when, but we'll let you know. Just check out our social media. And that, not much else to say. Other than, I'm Shaggy.
I'm Colin.
I am Mike the 8-Man.
Stick a fork in us, folks. We are done. Later.